storm, man. Nobody calls Han Solo a bitch.
Bring him on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Oh, come on, bro. It's the wars.
Alright, so we've been talking over the last couple weeks, when's the Mandalorian trailer coming? Well, since the Mandalorian is apparently getting feature film treatment, you can't get a trailer before Entertainment Weekly gets their say. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I think that's fair, right?
Yeah, absolutely fair.
I mean, now that I see this Entertainment Weekly article talking about The Mandalorian.
Yep.
This is feature film treatment, man.
Oh, totally. It's, this is the kind of stuff you see before any big Star Wars release in the theaters. But here we have just the next season of a television show, which is
it's pretty wild.
Awesome. Yeah.
I saw this pop up. I'm like, really? Like this is what we got for the sequels, all the sequel trilogy films. We got this EW thing, and then like, oh, here comes all the promotion.
Right.
Like you had to wait for this to happen.
Yep.
So apparently, The Mandalorian is on that level.
Yeah, I would say for sure. It's the most anticipated show. Clearly, it was the most streamed show last year, right? Last season, and I got a feeling it's going to be on track to do the same thing. So everybody is waiting with bated breath for this thing, as demonstrated by all of us clamoring for a trailer. So,
Yeah. I mean, I will say this: everybody said, "Oh, it's coming this week." Man, we're close.
Yeah.
So close.
Right.
That was 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so of course, Entertainment Weekly first look means you get some images, fewer images than I'm used to seeing.
Yeah.
And definitely not revealing at all.
Oh, I think there's a little bit, not much, but a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what can we glean, right? Not much, but you look at Grief Karga in this picture of Mando, Cara Dune, and Grief.
Yeah.
His facial hair is a little gray here. And we didn't see that in season 1.
Really?
Yeah. So I think, I don't know if that's something to judge by, but
think we're dealing with some time has passed.
I'm not sure. Maybe not. So, but his attire is also a little looks a little more upscale than what he was wearing in season 1.
Oh wow! I just pulled up images from season 1, and yeah, he had just a mustache.
Mm-hmm.
There was no gray.
Right.
Yeah. Look at that.
So I could be grasping here. I don't know. This could just be a promotional pic, and it's got really nothing. Maybe he hadn't gone into makeup to have the beard dyed for for shooting yet. Who knows? But
No, now that I see this and I'm looking at these other pictures, man, there is a definite difference.
Right.
Like not just subtle, like huge.
Yeah.
Like his hair is different.
Yep.
So that it's not like he's just unkempt because his hair is actually shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
interesting, right?
Attire's different.
Now, we also need to remember, his attire is different, but we need to remember at the end of season 1, he did get to walk away with a couple bars of Beskar. So, who knows? That could be his
The end of his bender?
Huh?
The end of his bender? Like he got all that money and he just went off gambling and...
Well, I'm thinking maybe he's using that as seed money to, start a better life or something, Could be.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely appear that they've laid low after this.
Right. Which, the way the season ended, you kind of have to, wouldn't you? But maybe...
Yeah, something about a former Moff
right.
looking for you.
Exactly.
Maybe duck your head in the sand for a little while.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you are right, man. That is a huge difference.
So...
Actually, everyone looks a little different. Carl looks different.
Yeah, a little bit.
Huh. Yeah, I think you might be onto something with a little bit of a time jump here. We're not picking up right where we left off.
Yeah, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but it's funny because the article that from Entertainment Weekly kind of says, we pick up right where we left off. So I'm noticing this, yet that's what they're saying. So kind of strange.
Well, I mean, these photos are determined that is a lie.
Right.
I mean, and if it's not, and we're like dealing with like a couple weeks here, then Grief Karga is definitely using space just for men.
Right. Exactly. So another thing, right? And it's kind of like obvious big bantha in the room, right? Is the Tusken Raider on a bantha, right? kind of tells us that something's going to be happening on Tatooine, I think.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yep. I just dig this picture of Mando on a speeder bike. Baby Yoda.
Yeah, it's a cool
in the saddlebag. It's probably not an approved way to transport a child.
I mean, gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Exactly.
He digs it. Kids like that kind of stuff.
Exactly. This is true.
I mean, it's better than the stormtroopers beating on him.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I didn't have a whole lot, but I just noticed a couple subtle things here, right? So.
Yeah, there's one thing I noticed, and it was funny. I noticed it, and then on Twitter, I saw someone comment on it. And in this shot of Mando, you see this blue triangle.
Oh, yeah, I did notice that.
On his right gauntlet.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, was that there all along?
Did you?
And apparently it was.
Okay.
I mean, I tried looking for images that showed it. I didn't see any. I wanted to go back and just watch it again just to see.
Right.
But I didn't see this anywhere. But the first thing I thought of, and I saw a commenter someone commenting on it was thinking the same thing I was. Like, this totally looks like a Dave Filoni, hey, I worked on Last Airbender, so we're just going to throw this on there.
Gotcha. I see.
I saw some people say, like, oh, yeah, it was there all season. I'm like, no, it wasn't. He didn't have the Beskar armor all season.
Right.
So that's just not true. I never noticed that blue triangle.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't like as prominent as it is in this picture.
Yeah. Whether it was there or not, okay, maybe it was.
Right.
But I didn't notice it.
Yeah,
I went back trying to find images of it being there, and I didn't find any. But images are what they are. There's no real good shots of the top of his right hand.
Right.
So, but I mean, you look at the changes to the armor. He's got the Mudhorn emblem on his shoulder guards now.
Yep.
So there's changes to the armor.
Yeah,
I feel like that blue triangle's a change, but I could be wrong. A lot of people are saying I would be wrong if I stated that as fact.
Gotcha.
But it is the internet.
Yes. Yeah.
So people are telling me I'm wrong.
I was going to say, people like telling you you're wrong. Period. That's.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could get on Twitter right now and go, Mark Hamill played Luke Skywalker.
Right.
And people are like, bullshit.
Right. Exactly. It's kind of the way it works right now. That's funny.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of cool looks in here. And I guess there's more there than I thought.
Right.
But still not super revealing.
No.
There's no new character reveals.
Nope.
Which is somewhat typical in these EW articles.
Well,
they almost always reveal one new character, whether it's just a small character, side character, unless you want to call the Tusken Raider a new character.
I don't think that's very fair. I was so I'm going into the article itself a little bit here. You talk about character reveals. I'm scrolling to try and find exactly the quote. I might here we are. So some of them are true, some are not true, says Gina Carano, who plays Cara Dune on the show. And that is referring to all of the rumored new characters.
Yeah, so Ahsoka Tano.
In the prior paragraph, they lay out everyone. Ahsoka,
all the Rebels
Bo-Katan, Boba Fett, Rex. Yeah. They basically lay all of them out in the prior paragraph. And
yeah, so almost everybody who was ever in Star Wars has been rumored to be in this next season.
Exactly.
So, yeah, of course. Some are true, some are not.
Some are true, some are not true. So, of the rumors that we've been hearing, we're going to see something. We don't know what, but something. So,
Please let Boba Fett be shit.
Nice.
I'm sorry.
Well,
honestly, that's probably the one we've had the most teasers for.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I want to call it compelling evidence from the one episode.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
how many other Star Wars characters have worn spurs though?
Yeah. I don't know.
For all that horseback riding they do.
Yeah. Dewbacks, man. But yeah, I don't know. This article.
Stormtroopers rode dewbacks and they didn't have spurs.
Right. This article does have a few highlights in it that I thought was pretty interesting. Dave Filoni actually talks about the style of work that he and Favreau do as, quote, bringing balance to the Force. So Favreau goes on to kind of break down their process. He says, I'll come up with ideas, and sometimes Dave will say, You can't do that in Star Wars. He goes, then I'll cite examples from the movies or Clone Wars or try to use as a justification. He's like, I'm like a lawyer talking to a judge. I am to him as he was to George. I won't do anything without Dave's approval. And to his credit, he understands that Star Wars needs to be fun and ever evolving. I gotta say, every time we get a little glimpse into the relationship these two guys have while working on this show, I am more and more encouraged about it every time.
And it's really weird because Jon Favreau's in charge.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's the showrunner.
And he won't do anything without Dave's approval. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's like, I don't do nothing without my number 2.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, I think that speaks a lot about the success, though, because that's not typical in filmmaking, right?
Right.
It's not typical that someone who's in charge. I mean, it's not typical, not just in filmmaking, but in everything to ever exist.
Yeah.
People don't typically look to people under them as like, yeah, I don't do nothing without their approval. It's not very common. Most times it's like, hey, I'm in charge.
Right. I'm in charge.
Good to be the king.
Yeah. Yeah. The buck stops with me. Every decision goes through me.
Right.
Yeah. Not the case here.
Even George was that way. Like the buck stops with me.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting dynamic to hear about. Like, hey, I look to the people around me. I don't just proceed.
Exactly.
So I like that.
It is. It's really cool.
And it's not like Dave's this tyrant on set either. There's a dialogue there.
Right.
It's not just like, oh, Dave says, oh, that can't happen in Star Wars. No, he says there's this dialogue, but Clone Wars this and that. And so, that means Dave's listening to what he has to say as well. It's not just like, oh, well, that can't happen. Oh, I guess maybe that could happen.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. He gives an example, right, of I don't want to say, what's typical of what they're talking about, but let's see. Oftentimes, debates on making Star Wars for modern television will hinge on a bit of dialogue, like, for instance, the phrase, a dime a dozen. There aren't dimes in Star Wars, Filoni says. So how do you get that across? Or should it be avoided altogether? So it makes sense, but Dave's got that kind of mind. Whereas some people making Star Wars might not even think about that, and you got to have somebody like Dave there who is going to catch that kind of stuff. That's just, I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's
you
like
need that.
Anything, right? You got to have, if you're working on a project, right? Even though you're running the project, you're creating something, you got to have like an expert in the field.
Absolutely. Yes.
And all the good stuff has an expert in the field to lean on. That expert is not necessarily the person that's in charge.
True.
But they're the person you go to. Like,
yeah, you consult with them about the finer details. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to have some sort of counsel, if it would, for cohesion, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, I mean, you could just do whatever. I mean, Next thing you know, they're dropping a moon on Chewbacca.
Nice. That's funny. All right, I've got to read this. This is something that you're not gonna really dig probably, but I got to throw this out there, dude. All right, so talk about how the scope of the show is gonna broaden here, right? As we introduce other characters, there are opportunities to follow different storylines, Favreau says. The world was really captivated by Game of Thrones and how that evolved as the characters followed different storylines. That's very appealing to me as an audience member. When he says this, I just have a feeling we're going to actually see characters carrying out different plots in parallel. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not too worried about that. I don't think they're trying to turn it into Game of Thrones, but yeah. I said you weren't going to like it.
No, I mean, yeah, I don't need to see that. Like different Game of Thrones plots. I understand what they're saying, though.
Yeah.
I do. The thing about a TV show is if you have just one character that you're following around and you're only telling the story of this character, it could get kind of dry.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about, you know, how many episodes were in the first season?
8.
10? 8? That's it?
Yep. There was only 8, and there's only going to be 8 again for the second season.
Okay. So, but let's just say 16 episodes, all about the same guy.
Yeah.
Might get a little...
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking, you know, so 16 episodes, what, 13 hours?
Yeah.
All about the same guy.
Right. And we are getting to a point, you know, after season 1 where it's time for the story to branch off. I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of at that spot. So,
well, yeah, I mean, the show is The Mandalorian. It made sense that the first season focused on The Mandalorian,
right? And established the core group of characters. Yeah,
right. And branching off into other characters that surround your main character.
Yep.
Seems only natural.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise it's like, I mean, how many eventually it's going to seem like, wow, this guy has some really bad luck.
Exactly.
Like he can't go anywhere, do anything without just getting in some crap.
Right.
Like no one's that unlucky. I mean, Clint Eastwood was, but that's it.
You know, hey. Oh.
Like you don't want this show to be too Clint Eastwood, John Wayne, like where it's just them.
Right. I mean, they you know, they kind of say as much as that, you know, they were going for that quote unquote gunslinger Western style aesthetic, I guess, you know, and I think they achieved that pretty well.
Yeah, that works for the first 6 hours.
Right. Right. I mean, there's always going to be that to a degree, but you know, we do need a little more complex storyline for sure. Speaking of, we got our old friend Giancarlo Esposito in this article as well.
Yes.
So yeah, he says, "I'll be going toe to toe with Mando. It's an iconic battle. I want to disarm him mentally as well. Who knows? Maybe there's an opportunity to get him to fight some battles for me. You may think I'm a villain. Yeah, you may think I'm a villain, but I'm trying to harness some energy and some powers for a path that could be best for all. You'll get to see him be somewhat diplomatic and more of a manipulator. Interesting.
Oh, this dude's got force power.
Oh, for sure. That's, yeah. He goes on to say, it's so exciting for me to be in a show where I can wear a cape and own it, and where I can have a lightsaber and really own it.
Is this Giancarlo or Billy D?
No, Giancarlo.
Because I feel like if you gave Billy D a lightsaber, that's how this would have turned out. I got a cape.
Yep.
Because he loved that cape.
Heck yeah. Why wouldn't you?
That's the last character in Star Wars that I can remember. Like, man, I got a cape.
Right. Right. So I got something I want to refer back to here real quick, because Giancarlo's also says he will also command, quote, a larger vehicle, hint, hint, unquote. Okay. Now, I want you to go back to those photos.
So you want me to go to the Giancarlo photo?
Yes.
Oh.
What's that look like behind him?
This dude's on a Star Destroyer.
Thank you very much. Gotta be.
Oh, man, it's gotta be.
Yeah. So I would say the breadth and the scope of this season is going to expand big time.
Yeah, a freaking Star Destroyer?
Yeah.
Like, he had some flamethrower dudes in, like, season 1.
Yeah.
I was like, that didn't work.
So,
Time to bring out the big guns.
okay.
A freaking Star Destroyer?
So, now I want you to go to the picture of our core 3 together. Mando, Cara, and Grief. And look at the background where they're at.
On said Star Destroyer.
Yeah, I think. Maybe. And Giancarlo says he gets to spend some one-on-one time with Baby Yoda. You think that's a rescue mission going on?
Well, considering that Baby Yoda's not in a picture.
Right. So.
Mando looks exceptionally sweet here. I mean, am I right?
Yeah, of course.
And this dude looks particularly badass. That is an awesome shot. I mean, it's good for all 3 characters, but man, he stands out.
Right. So I think maybe they let on a little more than, they were intending with, with the combination of everything we're looking at here. But I
retract my previous statement.
Yeah. I think we're in for some good, that's classic Star Wars stuff though, right? Infiltrate the enemy's stronghold and get what you need, get out. Right?
So do you think it's a standard Star Destroyer?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Why, you want it to be a Super Star Destroyer?
I mean,
of course.
We're going to go for it.
Right.
Why not give them a flagship?
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I gleaned from that article. Oh, minus one thing. There was the visit.
Oh, wait, there's more.
Yeah. The visit, right?
Oh, of course. I was like, what? Look at your notes, Joe.
Right.
that's the problem when you like go over some things you're going to talk about where you're both on the same page.
Yeah.
And then you go off from what, like the stuff that Doug wouldn't share with you.
What?
You know, 'cause I want you to be surprised.
Yeah, exactly.
That exact words, people.
Yeah. I'm so mean.
But George Lucas, right?
Yeah, the man.
Anytime we get to talk about GL's involvement, we jump at it.
Absolutely.
And this one's a fun one. So, during George's visit to the set, he just happened to show up when Dave was directing.
Of course. Just so happened to.
It just so happened to. Of all the days to pick, one where Dave's directing.
Right.
Apparently, during Dave working through these setups and getting the shots and things like that, George told him, hey, faster. You got to move faster.
Of course
Which
he did.
is just classic George Lucas.
It's classic George.
You hear so many of the actors like, George is like, faster, more intense.
Yeah. That's pretty much the it's almost a joke over the years now that was like the only direction that he ever gave. Yeah.
Oh, it was good, but faster, more intense.
Yeah.
Coming from George Lucas.
Exactly.
Not exactly an intense guy.
Right.
Every chat with George is very relaxed.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's telling you, come on, pick it up. Too slow.
But I just find it, I don't want to say it's ironic. I think it is totally intentional that George is there on the set during the time Dave's directing. I'm going to venture and speculate here and hope that, Dave is still getting some mentoring from George even now, as far as, quote unquote filmmaking and how George would approach things and stuff. So again,
well, I think of this too. Like, so George, right? You look at Star Wars, a lot of the pace of Star Wars compared to other science fiction and fantasy, it's pretty fast.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense.
Right.
And I would assume that George would treat his directors the same way, because if your pace on set and getting things going is faster and it is, intense, then that's going to show up in the scene.
Sure.
That same intensity. So you kind of want to create that environment because you want to get your actors in the mindset.
Right.
You can't have them being pampered and like, oh, take your water break.
Yeah.
No, like you're trying to get an intense scene. The mood needs to be intense. It needs to be there. Like you have to get them in the mindset.
Yeah. Go, 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 go.
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, not everyone's a method actor, but everyone is influenced in their acting.
Sure. Yeah.
So if the pace on set is intense and it is fast, then the scene will reflect that.
Right.
I'm sure if you need to have a more mellow, dramatic, calm scene, then yeah, you're not going to want to go, okay, next take. Right. You're not going to want to be fast and intense with trying to set that up, because you're setting the mindset of your actors.
Yeah, totally.
It's hard to break. Like if you're in rush mode, you can't just snap out of it and like, okay, I'm calm and serene. No, you can't go from chaos to like, okay, I'm cool.
Right.
And you can't go from I'm cool, relaxed, just had a massage to intense mayhem.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's got to be some reflection of that. And he's just trying to get Dave to like, hey, you want this to happen? You got to be like that. Let's go.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Come on,
Cool.
this is what I taught you. Come on. That's a mentor thing too. Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
always want more.
Yep. And what does Favreau say there about George? He was like a boxer's corner man coaching him, but always with a twinkle in his eye. So I get the impression that George really enjoys the whole process of the Mandalorian and how it's done and what he's seeing as a final product as well. So I think this is one of those things, you know, in those behind the scenes things we saw from the Disney Gallery, the Mandalorian, where George was there talking about, you know, this is what I envisioned, this is what I wanted to do, kind of thing. And I think, you know, actually getting to see it play out and not have to be, you know, running the whole show, it's kind of nice for him, you know, at this point. You know, and he gets to be a fan.
And speaking of fans, like we're sitting back, we're watching this. Like every time they talk about this, there's some new information.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, what haven't they told us yet? Like,
exactly.
Like, what else did George do while he was there?
Right. Oh,
because before it was just like, oh, he showed up, he took a picture with Baby Yoda.
Yep.
He said hi to everybody, and he left.
Uh-huh.
Then it was like, oh yeah, well he said we could do this in this scene. Oh,
right.
Okay, so there was a little more.
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh yeah, he was over there coaching Dave. He's like, come on, faster, more intense.
Yep.
Yeah, what else did he do?
It's I bet there's something, just like
Did he shoot a damn scene?
just like how Dave is telling Jon Favreau, you know, you can't do that in Star Wars. You know, I'm sure that George is there going, well, you know, I think that you know, a creature of Yoda's species would probably do it like this more or something, you know. And if you're getting that kind of direction from the maker himself, yeah, you're probably gonna listen.
See, what we're gonna find out next is that the first scene for Ahsoka Tano in live action was co-directed by Dave Filoni and George Lucas.
Oh, could you imagine?
I mean, that would be amazing,
It
would be only right.
Yes, this is true.
These two guys brought this character to life, and they co-directed this first scene.
Oh, I gotta say, when it comes to Ahsoka and in the Mandalorian, when that happens, you know Dave's gonna be all over that. He's got to be directing that episode,
Without a doubt.
Yeah. And since George was there on,
there's only one way they can do that. Or Dave Filoni didn't direct that episode. The only way they can do that is George Lucas directed that episode.
Right. Exactly. And you know, I don't want to go back to the article necessarily, but just going off memory, we had some directors from season 1, you know, Dave Filoni, I forget the other guy's name, but Robert Rodriguez, and directing the premiere episode was Jon Favreau himself. So, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me, you know. He might not even want to be credited with it, but there could be a little direction going on from George as he's paying his set visits. I could see it.
Yeah, I don't necessarily see any direction. I see tips and tricks. Like, yeah, you could have done this. And
Oh,
like,
I'm
yeah,
not.
we could have done this.
I'm not
Then I'll
saying.
go back and do that.
I'm not saying he's got to be the guy to say action and cut, but yeah, I'm sure there's discussions before action and after cut with George about how things went. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. There's a lot of cool stuff in it. A lot more than I thought.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad I let you keep me in suspense.
Oh, good.
And I'm glad that I forgot to read the article. I didn't actually forget. I was trying to read the article, but yeah, I had problems.
It's all right.
So
it's what we do with this show, Joe.
Yeah.
Keep you informed, right?
Yeah, I like that I'm learning along the way. Have something to add to the conversation? Or you just want to let us know how we're doing? Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get in on the action. But if social media is a little more to your liking, @TheWarsAndMore on Twitter is always a good place to interact with us. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/TheWarsAndMore. And of course, your portal to this and everything else, The Wars and More, is thewarsandmore.com. All right, so Coca-Cola. Yes, we are talking about Coca-Cola on a Star Wars podcast.
Nice. Well, tasty, sweet
but it applies,
beverage.
I promise.
Okay, good.
So, Coca-Cola has asked Disney to remove beer from their branded carts at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Mainly, and I tell you, I'm a little insulted by this.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I am a Y-Wing fan. So the fact that they are pulling Gold Squadron Lager from these stands is like kind of hurtful.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say so. Man. Huh. So
I understand. I guess Coca-Cola probably has a lot more interest in these than meets the eye.
Okay.
Because they're probably actually sponsoring these stands themselves. Because of these special branded Coca-Cola cans and things like that.
Right.
So they probably have a lot more pull when it comes to these stands than you would normally think.
Yeah.
Like they may have actually paid to put them there.
Okay. Okay, I guess. Okay, maybe. Okay. I'm just, man, I don't know. It might be a bad business move, though. I'm kind of thinking. Because, okay, for me, what am I interested in? Gold Squadron Lager. That's what I'm interested in. So if I'm there with my kids and, my kids are thirsty, I'm thirsty. Now, I'm going to find a beer cart. Kids, water fountain's over there. So.
Or you're just getting them a soft drink that you can get at the beer cart.
Sure.
I guess it's across from the milk stand now, so you can go get your kids some blue milk.
Oh, okay. That'll work.
And grab yourself a Gold Squadron Lager.
Well, there we go.
I mean, Coke can go to hell.
Oh, I kid, but
What?
I said I kid, but hey, it's.
I mean, you're absolutely right, though. I mean, you're at Disney.
Yeah.
Okay. Most people at Disney are there with their kids, things like that.
Right.
So, while dad's getting, or mom and dad maybe getting a Gold Squadron Lager, the kids are getting Sprite.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coke. Dasani.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So, yeah, you're actually like pushing some business away here. I think the better move would have been like, look, we're okay with you doing this, but we paid for these carts. We deserve a certain portion of the proceeds.
Now, yeah, that I can see.
Like if you're going to sell them at our carts, pay up, sucker.
Right. Yeah, if they are actually paying like a what would you call it? Like a rental of the space that they're occupying kind of thing to be there. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's be real. If it was a rental for Coke to be like doing that, I mean, the people that were manning the station would have been Coke employees. They would have had complete control. That wouldn't have even happened.
Yeah.
So this is a sponsorship deal.
Yeah, for sure.
So the employee is a Disney employee. Coca-Cola ain't paying for the damn employee.
Right.
So, yeah, I think a little kickback would have been a better move than just say, hey, get that beer out of here.
Yeah, I like that better anyway. It's kind of like a win-win situation.
Like, if they start selling Captain there, are they going to be mad about it?
Yeah,
I mean,
really.
it goes with Coke. Dude.
Exactly. I mean, everybody knows Captain and Coke. That's like...
Yeah. I mean, when Hondo Rum comes out.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the brand you need to make it, too.
Oh, I mean, I think the Hondo Onaka should definitely be a Captain and Coke.
Yes, for sure.
So,
I love that idea.
You heard that, Disney? Just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, pay attention. I like it.
But, I mean, hey, it might not be allowed.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, man. That right there, that might actually draw me back to the Coke cart.
Yeah, I'm really interested about this lager, though. Like, that's the big takeaway here.
Yeah, exactly.
What does Gold Squadron lager taste like?
I know. I am interested in that as well.
So it looks like it's a microbrew, too.
Oh, excellent.
Because Blue Point Brewery is not a nationwide brewery that I know of.
Right.
So here we go. So Gold Squadron Lager. A light gold lager brewed by Blue Point Brewery. Hints of lavender and plum in the flavor.
Ooh.
5% ABV.
Huh. Sounds
It's like a
interesting.
tasty summer drink.
Yeah. Excellent.
At first I was like, ooh, plum and lavender. I was like, but it's a lager.
Yeah.
Could work.
Could work.
So, yes. So across from the milk stand, you can get this.
Excellent. Now I know
if
which
you
way
reach
to
the
go.
Coke stand, you've gone too far.
Yes. Yeah. And don't ask them for the beer because they don't have it.
Yeah, they might tell you what beer.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Yeah, interesting move. I mean, it's just, I mean, on the bright side, at least you can get beer at Galaxy's Edge. That's
I was going to say, yeah.
the
That's
main takeaway from this article.
it's like something new that I could not do last time I was at Disney. So.
But, yeah. I guess it's pretty par for the course, though. Like, you think about amusement parks, right?
Yep.
Most amusement parks, when you go to the stand that says Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola or whatever, so you go to those stands, and typically that's all they sell. Pepsi, Coca-Cola, no beer.
Right.
So, pretty typical.
Pretty typical.
Not
Yeah,
unusual.
for sure.
Means that these companies probably sponsor more of these stands than we think.
Yeah, I could see
Like,
it.
it's just not an agreement they have, like, okay, we're going to carry these products and that's what this stand's branded as. No, they're probably actually sponsoring that branding being on that kiosk,
Right.
and they have a say.
Well, yes, I can see, every company loves to control their branding as much as possible. And, you don't want, if you're a beverage company, you don't necessarily want beverages being sold alongside yours that you don't have control over. So I could totally see that.
The simple solution here is, where's Coke's Star Wars beer?
Okay. I think you've gone too far.
I mean, that's the solution, right? If you made your own beer, they wouldn't have to put another one there.
Okay, that's a solution. Not necessarily a good one, but it's a solution. Coke beer. Ugh, no.
Well, it doesn't have to taste like Coke.
I know, but man, I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Anywho. So, Daisy Ridley.
Oh, yeah. Daisy Ridley
and Josh Gad.
Yeah.
That was a fun dynamic, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Those two, ever since they worked on, what is it, Murder on the Orient Express or whatever it was,
yeah,
they've had a lot of really cool YouTube videos that they've done, and, you know, it's basically Josh nagging her about, you know, hey, what's going on in Star Wars?
Parents?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So.
And her looking super annoyed.
Yes. There was that. But so he was what? He was guest hosting Kimmel, right?
Yeah. So it only made sense.
Right.
That he brought Daisy on.
Right. Of course. So, in the great tradition that they've established online, he annoys her with asking some more Star Wars questions, but she's a little more forthcoming this time now that you know, the Skywalker saga is said and done. So here we go.
Have you been keeping Rey's secret from the beginning? Did you know about the parentage? Like, tell me about that journey of when you found out.
No. At the beginning, there was toying with like an Obi-Wan connection, and then it really went, there were like different versions, and then it really went to that she was no one. And then it came to episode 9, and JJ pitched me the film and was like, oh yeah, Palpatine's granddaddy. And I was like, awesome. And then 2 weeks later, he was like, oh, we're not sure. So it kept changing. So then even I was filming, and I wasn't sure what the answer was going to be.
So, wow.
Remember this thing we talked about direction?
Yeah.
And like a goal. Like, you know, setting the goalpost.
A singular vision?
Yeah, to hell with that, right? Like,
That's exactly what I just heard.
oh, it might be Obi-Wan. No, you're no one. You're no one. You're just Rey.
Right.
But maybe you're the biggest villain in Star Wars granddaughter.
Yeah.
And her reaction there was like, awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
What?
But then, wait, a couple weeks in, maybe not. And apparently, yeah, I guess so. So, I don't know, man. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, but were you not a big proponent of Rey being a Kenobi offspring?
No.
Okay, I forget. I was mistaken.
I was the one that was, I kind of like the idea of Rey not being affiliated with anybody.
Okay. Well,
that was my stance.
Gotcha.
It was at first, well, let me clarify. At first, I thought she's a Skywalker somehow.
Right.
That was my thing at first. And then we got to The Last Jedi and they're like, well, she's not affiliated. And I'm like, I kind of like that.
Okay.
You know, I took the she's a nobody. She's just a new character.
Right.
And I kind of dug that. You know, I took a lot of things from The Last Jedi that just weren't true. You know, Rey is just Rey. She's just a Force user. She got the gift, right?
Right.
And then, you know, and my other thing from that was Kylo Ren's going to be the big bad.
Yeah.
I was way off on everything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. I actually tried to look up these clips. I could not find them, but I remember Daisy Ridley talking after the release of The Force Awakens, how she thought it was kind of quite obvious of who Rey's parents were. And looking back on that statement now, after she just did this interview, and thinking back to The Force Awakens, she has that vision, and who did she hear? Obi-Wan Kenobi. Along with others, but kind of like finishes off the vision.
She may have actually thought she was telling the truth there.
Right. Well,
I
got a feeling.
Obvious, Rey.
I got a feeling.
First steps.
Yeah, exactly that. But I have a feeling that was kind of the direction they were going at that point in time, until things changed in the next movie.
Until.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then from there, it's almost too late to go back to that original idea. So,
right.
We had to figure out how to, and I say we, but I'm trying to put myself into JJ's shoes, right? Figure out how to answer this question and make it interesting, and I don't know. Still up for debate whether that was the right call or not, but Palpatine.
He's like, let's try Palps. That's a good trick.
Exactly, that's a good trick. So coin a Star Wars frame or phrase. I like that.
Hey, that's what we do.
But yeah, I
can fit it. We do it.
That's right. I don't know, man. I think that statement from her right there was just a testimony to how much of a lack of a singular vision there was. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like they could have just been. I'm not a big meeting guy, right? I hate work meetings, but maybe those folks could have had some.
I mean, yeah, this is something that shouldn't have been handled in an email.
Right.
Most meetings can be settled with an email. This was an email that should have been a meeting.
Exactly.
But that says a lot. Like, when you talk about, it could be a Kenobi, this is a big deal.
Right.
And then, she's just a Force user. Okay. A big deal, but not as big a deal to really have a plan for, right? If she's not affiliated, then you don't need a huge plan going forward. But if she's a Palpatine, man, you better be able to explain this.
Yeah. And I think...
And explain it, they did not.
Right. I think if this was going to be the vision moving forward through all three of the sequel films, we would have been able to catch hints of that, not necessarily right off the bat, okay, but after we got the reveal in The Rise of Skywalker, we could look back on the other two films and say, oh yeah, right there, she's showing a sign of being a Palpatine. But we can't do that. No, if it was done well enough, I think you could have been able to do that. The rewatchability of going back and just, I don't know. I think they would have put it in there. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think that they really had a.
I mean, the only connective tissue they have for that would be in The Last Jedi.
Okay.
And that's when she's like, connecting to the Force in front of Luke, and like the stone crumbles, and like, and he's like, whoa.
Yeah.
I've only seen this raw power once before.
Yeah.
that's really the only connective tissue you have.
But
If
that
you wanted to kind of tease that, like, an accidental force lightning probably should have happened sooner.
right. Yes.
Um,
The whole
like an outburst that like shatters all the glass in the room or something
yeah,
should have happened before that. Like a moment of rage.
sure.
And it literally takes one moment of rage that demonstrates force power prior to the final film
Right.
that makes this all believable.
Absolutely.
But there's none of that.
No, and I gotta say, you brought up the loose line of I've only seen this kind of raw power once before in a Skywalker, right? Ben Solo.
Right.
So that right there had everyone thinking Skywalker lineage. So
Well, he did say that you instinct to the dark. So that was another kind of hint at that.
yeah,
But accidentally.
yeah, exactly.
Because, I mean, and it's absolutely accidentally because you just heard it out of Daisy Ridley's mouth.
Right,
In the middle, she's nobody.
right,
So this you instinct to the dark means nothing in that film based on what was being written. Yes, okay, we have these neat little things we can tie in if we want to. But that's if we want to.
right.
It just, the lack of direction in the trilogy as a whole. And it's no one person's fault.
No,
It's no one director's fault.
no. This goes above and beyond directors, for sure.
Yeah, this is boardroom level
Yes.
error.
Yes.
Lack of direction. Like
Sorry.
You said, hey, you tell your story. Hey, you tell your story. It doesn't matter if they gel. We'll figure it out.
Right. Personally, I'm just going to come right out there and say it. This is Iger Kennedy errors. This is
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Like I said, they said, hey, you tell your story. Hey, you tell your story, and we'll figure it out.
Yep.
And they got done with the first two, and they're like, well, damn.
we need to find somebody to fix all this.
I mean, we thought Star Wars can only go a certain direction. Like, what the hell happened here?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like I said, and we've talked about this with The Last Jedi time and time again. Like, as a standalone film, it's not a bad film.
Agreed. As a standalone film, it's not a bad film.
But as part of a trilogy,
Yeah. One of these things is not like the others.
you can't look at what the first guy did and say, nah, screw that.
Right.
It just doesn't work that way. Even though I'm no fan of what the first guy did the first time around, just because he's like, hey, we got this cool template, let's use that.
Right.
And we don't have to mix it up very much. They'll eat this up. So, yeah, I mean, and neither one of them, like, on their own, are a bad film.
Right.
You know, the only problem I have with The Last Jedi is, like, I'm taking all of Star Wars in context, and I come out of there, I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to think about that.
Yep.
Like, and the reason I don't know what to think about it is because as a movie, it's not a bad movie. It was pretty enjoyable.
Sure.
But as Star Wars, it was like, what?
Right. Exactly.
And then The Force Awakens is like, wow, that was a good movie. It was really good the first time I saw it back in 1977. I mean, I didn't see it.
I was going to say,
but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. There is
the
that.
first time I saw it back in, 1991.
I still say
Stab at it.
I still say The Force Awakens was a decent launching pad to get back into it. If everything was launching
it was
from
understandable given what they were trying to achieve. They were trying to grab new fans and old fans alike.
Sure.
So they wanted to kind of find a happy medium between a new and an old.
Yeah.
And can you fault them for using the formula?
No, not really.
It worked out fantastic originally.
Yep.
So, and it's not a bad film.
No, it's not.
Neither one of them.
No.
Bad films. But, yeah. In the context of a trilogy, yeah, they really should have had some meetings.
Yeah, I think what we got here was a definitive
To communicate.
yeah, but a definitive exclamation point on basically what everyone was looking at on screen and saying, they kept telling us, no, this was the plan all along. This is what after we all saw 9, they're like, and that's what was supposed to happen. That's what we planned from day one. And we're all like, really? Did you really plan it that way? Because it doesn't look like you planned it that way.
Yeah, show us the flow chart.
Exactly. And now Daisy's basically confirmed everything we were thinking. So,
one thing I did like in that interview, before we get to the last thing we're going to talk about there.
Uh-huh.
But one thing I did like in that interview is she said, yeah, I invited you out to set.
Right.
And he got to see a scene.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
And he's like, yeah, I didn't realize I was coming out to see the scene that defined the whole, the whole trilogy.
Right.
And she's like, you were at a loss for words, weren't you? He's like, yeah, in America, we call that hate.
Yep. That was funny.
So I'm assuming he got to see the scene where it was revealed that she was a Palpatine.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yes. That is funny. So, he did have one other Star Wars question for her. And I guess I'll let him ask it.
I got to ask you one final question, Days. Hypothetically, one day, 10 years from now, they come back to you and they say, hey, Dicey, we would love for you to come back and reprise Rey in a new series of Star Wars films. Do you think he would do it?
I mean, the world is a crazy place right now. 10 years seems an awfully long way away. I'd say never, but to me, Rise of Skywalker was tied up with a bow.
So what you're saying is no.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's translate.
Yeah.
She's like, are you kidding? Would you want to relive this?
Right. But here's the thing. I mean, they just have to pull what they did with Harrison Ford, right? 3 or 4 Brinks trucks show up in your driveway. Okay, maybe. I guess I'll do it,
Wow, I didn't realize the story was so good.
Right.
This is a masterpiece. I didn't realize you could write it like this.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I mean, we look back at Harrison Ford and everything that went down there, and I don't feel like it's the same situation.
Oh, it's not. It's totally not.
I mean, I look at, what Oscar, John, and Daisy have had to go through with this trilogy. And honestly, I can't blame them for not wanting to come back.
Exactly. I have to say, trying to put myself into their shoes when they first, got the call back, you went and audition and you get the call back, hey, you're going to be in Star Wars. For each of them, I'm sure it was like, oh my God, this is it. And then the whole process left them Okay. You know? So,
I mean, I'm sure by Act 3, they're all like, they're trying to ruin my career.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's not just the studios. You know, you look at how fandom has been.
Yep.
You know, this whole division we've got going on right now and things like that. I don't blame them.
Right.
I don't blame them for not wanting to come back to this, and it's sad to say. You know, but I can say personally, I'd love to see all three of them return.
Yeah. So would
Some
I.
capacity. I would love to see their story continue,
Sure.
but I don't blame them if they don't want nothing to do with it.
Right.
This has been a real disaster.
I think we need to give them as actors time to breathe, time to do some other things, and you know, time to let these stories mellow a bit. You know, give the fans time to take a break from them, and then come back to them. Come at them again with fresh eyes, and you know, see how we as fans feel about them again at that point. So, you know,
you know, it's funny because one word that's become a bad word lately is nostalgia, right?
Oh, right, yeah,
and we have truly let nostalgia become a bad word. But really, yeah, take time, let them do other things, leave them alone. Don't pester them about Star Wars.
right,
And in 10 years, without them being pestered about it, maybe we can use nostalgia to our advantage
exactly,
and get them back.
yeah,
It'll be, you know, nostalgic for all walks of fans currently.
yep,
And yeah, maybe we can, you know, tell a story with these characters that we can just all have fun with instead of fight about.
exactly. Something everyone can get behind.
Because yeah, I'm tired of all the fighting in fandom, dude. I'm just
I agree.
and I'm sure they feel the same way, and they feel it way more heavily than you or I do.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't blame them.
Yep.
You got your money? Run.
Right.
Run. So, yep, good for you. Got your money? Go.
Yep.
But one last thing, and this is going to be real quick.
Okay.
But last week we talked about Daisy Ridley. She's having trouble finding work.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
after
That.
Star- Well, apparently now she's signed on to do a major role, and I'm going to be honest. I tried to find stuff about this picture, but all I could find about it was who's in it.
Okay.
Tells me nothing.
Right.
So I'll just state it. So she signed on to play one of the major roles in the film Women in the Castle. And they're going to start filming early next year.
Okay. Cool. Good for her.
Like I said, all I could find about it is who's in it. I couldn't find any plot, you know, even speculation. So, I'm sure it's out there. I just couldn't find it.
Right. Well, good. I mean, hopefully this is going to, launch her into all kinds of more work.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good turnaround. I mean, we talked about last week how, like, you know, hey, a lot of these starring roles in these franchise films, like, hey, you're screwed for about a decade.
Right. Exactly.
A week later, hey, you got a starring role. Cool.
Yep.
Hopefully it's not Corvette Summer.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I mean, this is good news. I'm happy for her. Don't want to see the franchise curse happen to anyone.
Yeah, for sure.
But all right. If you have anything to add to the conversation, you can always email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. Best way to get a hold of us. We're also on social media. We're at The Wars and More on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. Find all that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right. We will talk next week.